in answer to his question about the subjects.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman, talk today.
Oh, what a compliment. For that, I thank you.
What is happening now? There are homeless and hungry.
Now it's time for us to stand up to God or we'll fall to nothing.
It's time now for Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Listening to the general public, what the public is saying.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller. I'm filling in for you this afternoon on behalf of Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. It was his birthday yesterday, I believe. So big happy birthday to Sterling. I wanted to say it on air, not just send you a text message. So happy birthday, Sterling. I hope you're having a great time. We have a pretty full show today. Right now in studio with me, I have from the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, Director Designate, Amanda Brown. She is here to discuss the National Playwriting Competition. We're going to have a short open line segment from maybe 1 o'clock to about 1:30. It's going to be a little tiny segment, so hopefully we can get your calls in. And then at 1:30, we welcome Fred Burton from the Department of Environment and Kristen Smith, Senior Policy Advisor with the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency, to discuss the Queen's Jubilee Tree Planting Initiative. From 2 o'clock, joining me in studio, I'm definitely going to have a packed studio then, we'll be discussing the Sexual Assault Awareness Month with Marisha Spencer from the Cayman Islands Crisis Center, along with representatives from the Department of Rehabilitation, the RCIPS, the Family Resource Center, and HSA. So we're going to throw it back for a quick break and a disclaimer, and then I'll be back in here with Amanda Brown for the Cayman National Cultural Foundation.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Live Communication.
Let your voice be heard.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and in studio with me right now from the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, Director Designate Amanda Brown. Good afternoon, Amanda.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for joining. How are you doing today?
Doing really well.
Good.
Doing really well.
All right. A little more peppier than me, for sure. I know I'm on my second coffee only.
Oh my gosh, I haven't had any yet.
Oh,
can you imagine?
And yet the pep level is up there. That's good. I need that. So let us know what we are here to talk about today. I mean, I know, but let our audience know.
Well, I really wanted to talk about the National Playwriting Competition. It hasn't happened in a few years, but it was originally created by Henry Mutu, our former artistic director, in 1990.
Oh, that's
so
when it started.
It ran for a very long time, 15 years, right up until Ivan, when Harkwell was destroyed. I think we all have especially if you're Caymanian, we had AC and BC, and now we have before Ivan and after Ivan.
That's true. Yes.
It was and now we've got a third one. It's going to be before and after COVID.
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. So we definitely have some landmarks here. But also, this is a part of the celebration for the Queen's Jubilee. So we decided to bring back the National Playwriting Competition, and we have the deadline, I think, for entry is April 28th. So that is coming up quickly, very quickly. So spread the word, and the over the period of the 15 years, the competition offered both training through national playwriting workshops and initiatives to young writers to creatively explore ideas or issues which concern or appeal to them using the discipline of writing for the stage. Under the National Playwriting Competition, 50 plus Caymanian stage plays now form part of Cayman's collection of original literature, which I think is incredible.
That's impressive.
Isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
But we can't stop there. We want more.
Absolutely. We had a little break. So.
Yes, we did. We did. So we really are inviting everyone. We have 2 categories. The first category is age 17 and under, individuals who are school-attending children or school groups, and others age 17 and under. The submissions for that category will be skits, which shall be 10 to 20 minutes in the playtime, or one-act plays, which shall be 30 to 45 minutes long.
That seems quite demanding for
it
that
does,
age
doesn't
group.
it? It does, doesn't it? But they've done amazing work.
Wow.
They have done amazing work in the past. So I know we have the creative feel in Cayman is 1,000 times more than it was when I was growing up.
Oh wow! Why do you think that?
Because I guess I'm more exposed to it now in my position. But I felt when I returned home, even when Jesus was a boy and I came out of university.
Oh boy, come on!
It felt different. There's just so many more outlets, so much more available now in the arts realm than there was when I was growing up, because that's one of the reasons that I was sent away to boarding school, was to study acting and voice lessons and singing. I did the harp, all kinds of things.
So that was your interest when you were younger.
Absolutely, in my youth.
In
my youth.
Yes. So that was what you wanted to focus on.
I did,
I guess, and your parents were supportive of that.
Very much so. Very much so.
But what did you study in university?
But, of course, then reality hits at university, and I ended up with an international business degree.
Which is excellent.
So pairing the two, it's actually a perfect fit.
I think that
for where I am now at CNCF.
When you say you weren't as exposed to it, or it wasn't, I guess, around as much when you were growing up in Cayman, like the art scene, I think it's been nurtured a lot more.
Absolutely.
In the past few years, and I think, along with the work that Cayman National Cultural Foundation is doing,
and the National Gallery, exactly, and the National Museum, and they're all really doing an amazing job, and we just want to keep moving forward.
So this is a great way to still nurture that art scene and reach out to the younger ones, the kids still in school, age 17 and under, at least for this first category that Amanda just described.
That's correct. So the second category is age 18 and over, and whether they attend school or not. Plays subject to this category may be either one act, 30-minute to 1 hour in length, or a full-length production, an hour and a half to 2 hours in playing time.
Wow.
Very significant.
Which means that they could have a whole cast.
Absolutely.
They could include a whole cast. Wow. Okay.
Absolutely. There will be one winner for each category, and CNCF will be producing it as a radio play to broadcast on the air.
Oh, are you working with us on that? I hope so.
Yes, absolutely.
Of course.
And, if it's possible, we would like to produce it on the stage at the Harquail. So
that would be awesome.
And I
mean,
think
you'd want to see it.
Absolutely, absolutely, really come to life. It will come to life certainly on the radio, but even more so on the stage.
Yes,
even
absolutely.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think back in the days, where it was a lot harder to kind of travel to one area and let people know, hey, there's a small production going on, a play. Mm-hmm. It was harder, so people would tune into the radio, and
absolutely,
plays were so popular on the radio, and we still have them, like live storytelling, and a lot of recorded storytelling segments. But it is still a very popular medium in getting that kind of entertainment through.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely,
yes. Yeah. So hopefully it'll also get made into a stage production.
Yes, I'm hoping as I've recently learned you're a rundown participant in the past.
Yes.
So we'll have to we'll have to get you back on the stage for sure.
Yes, I would like to try. I remember Henry did ask me a couple of years ago, and I can't remember what I had. I think I was doing my finals and my studies for university.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I can't, because it does take up a lot of time.
Absolutely. It is a commitment. It's truly a
Yes.
commitment.
And you don't want to let the cast down or the director down. And
Exactly.
I know before, I'm sure I aided to Henry's hair getting grayer and grayer, so I apologize. So I knew that in order to be a part of something like Rundown Again or any other production, I'd have to fully commit to it.
Definitely. Like I say, it is a true commitment.
Yes.
But when you're passionate about it, the time just flies by because you're having so much fun doing it.
You love it. You enjoy that.
Absolutely.
That's how you love spending your time. Yes.
Absolutely. And I can't think of a better way myself. Let me just tell everybody how to get involved. There are registration forms that can be found on our website, which is www.artscayman.org. And right on the front page, there's a button that you can click that is all about the playwriting competition, and it will give you all of the rules and regulations and all of the details that I'm telling you now.
Okay, perfect.
As well as the registration form. Also, you can call our offices, 949-5477. You can come by, and we can give you an application, whatever suits.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we will get our judges together, and we will decide who gets all of these lovely prizes, because we do have prizes.
What is, the judging criteria, I guess, what would that be made up of? If you know.
Because we don't, it's difficult to say exactly, because we're talking about something that it's a piece of art.
Yes.
So it has to be looked at on a very individual basis. And I myself have never judged a writing competition, but we will find the experts that we have used before, and they'll be able to come up with a plan as to how to do that properly.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So everybody at least will be on the same board. There will be a criteria to be
definitely
that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Mm-hmm. Some of those rules.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wait, before we go, we're about to go to a commercial break in a minute, so before we go to the rules. But we know that we have two main categories, as you just let us know. There's the, I think, 17 and under.
That's correct.
And then there's the 18 and over.
That's correct.
And I know that I know of maybe a handful of writers in Cayman that want to produce, whether it's for television production or whether it's for a live stage show, like a play, for example. So does CNCF reach out to these people as well to encourage to get them in? Or okay,
absolutely, that is exactly what we're trying to do, because I mentioned to you off air that we are currently going through a strategic planning exercise, looking at the law that CNCF was created under. It was really to be an arts council. We're currently operating, or we were operating, as a production company. So now that element is not there anymore, we can function more like we would if we became an arts council. Now that planning exercise is going to take 6 months, so we won't speculate as to how it's going to look at the end. But the idea is everything is a collaboration, whether it is with within the community, with government, it doesn't matter. We want to really get a lot of collaboration going on so that we can support the artistic community in any way possible.
I think there's, amongst the artists themselves, I feel, and I've seen so much collaboration, which is
fantastic.
It's super refreshing.
Absolutely.
In that scene, I wish other industries would follow. We got to go to a quick commercial break right now, and when we return, we'll be continuing to talk about the National Playwriting Competition.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
It was so good.
Wow.
Sensational.
Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. for a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now, reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Tune in Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. for the Daily Sports Report, covering local, regional, and international sports. Proudly brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Banks today. And in studio with me in this segment, we have Amanda Brown from the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. She's the director designate, and she's letting us know about the National Playwriting Competition. Right before the break, we were giving a bit of a background on the playwriting competition, the different categories, and we're now going to touch on what some of those rules are.
There are a few rules, but they're quite basic, such as scripts must be submitted, typewritten, double-spaced, clearly state the title and authors of the work, and be accompanied by a typed synopsis. A digital copy of the script must also be emailed to CNCF or submitted on a memory stick. So
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Even before you get to the next rule.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, you can keep going because you're going to say one question will pop up
on. So submissions will not be returned, so do not submit sold copies of the work.
I hope they wouldn't do that.
Yes, but, it's better we say it.
Yes.
Get it out there. All plays submitted must be the original work of the authors named.
And this is where my question comes in.
Okay.
So how do we know, or if you're aware, how do we ascertain that it is an original work? And the only reason I'm asking is because sometimes, there's plagiarism exists.
It does.
So I know that there's a certain little feed that universities will put papers through and check for that. So I don't know if it's the same in the arts world at all.
Well, I'm sure there is a mechanism for that. A lot of it is based on trust. Obviously, here it's a very small community in Cayman, yes. And that is a double-edged sword.
It can
you
be,
can love it or not love it. But I think a lot of it is based on trust at the forefront. But the judges that we bring on board are very knowledgeable, and they have read 500,000 times more books than I probably ever will in my lifetime. So they're familiar with so many things. So I think that they too, with their expertise, they would catch it if it was something that was plagiarized.
And I'm making an assumption, but I would assume that a lot of the time you're inspired by what's going on around you and the environment you're in and the current times. So
absolutely.
I would assume that artists are going to draw from that, and that's
the idea.
The work.
That is the idea. As I said, we decided to bring back the competition because of the Queen's Jubilee, and the theme is majesty, whatever that means to you. It could mean anything at all. But definitely it is about what's happening around you. You know, any concerns you have or things that you feel need to be expressed and can be expressed in this way.
Okay, excellent.
Let's see.
A couple more rules.
Yeah,
so the last one, original work. Must submit original work.
Yes, please. A play that has been previously produced or which was commissioned by the CNCF is ineligible for entry to the competition.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Why put in something that's already been
Exactly.
entered or ran or we've heard?
Precisely.
Yes.
The authors and the plays selected for the production must be willing to do rewrites based on suggestions from the director of the play and or the dramaturge. I can't pronounce
I don't
that
even
word.
know this word.
Dramaturge.
I'm going to Google this word later. Yes.
Okay.
Dramaturge.
Yes. Winning entries remain the property of the playwrights. However, CNCS reserves production and publication rights for a period not exceeding 5 years, commencing on the date of the announcement of the winners.
And I think that's a good thing because, as you said, we were trying to make it into a radio production and then hopefully a stage production as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
We do have a caller online.
Oh, my.
So I'm excited. I didn't even give the numbers out, so this has to be a dedicated caller.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad to hear that. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Well, you know how Cayman small, so we know how to find you, you know.
That's all right. How are you doing?
Good. Congrats to Miss Brown and Miss Urquhart, who was there for a while.
Yes.
On taking over the helm from Henry and his wife after many years of their great work. I am calling for a couple of reasons. First of all, I've been a participant in the past, and I wish that there were more time. I know that, you know, it was announced a few weeks back, but that is really not a lot of time, and people are caught up in daily things these days, you know. So I wish there were enough time or more time that I would have liked to have participated. But regardless, I'd like to leave a suggestion with you.
Sure.
Or two. One is that you somehow arrange to get it aired and videotaped for posterity or for airing. I know that the government has a TV station.
Yes.
I feel so badly that over the years, shows like, the Playwriting series, one of which was mine that was staged, but also the Rundown series, none of that has been captured on video, which I think is a real shame.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Actually, that's one of the first things that I looked at in joining CNCF, being able to air, not only just have availability to see a program in the seats in the Harquail, but also be able to have it broadcasted and filmed for posterity, as you suggested. I think we have a couple of works. If I could get your contact information, I would give you a call and let you know where to find a few things, because we do have some things. I think we have one of the rundowns for sure, at least one. And right now we're running a lot of the. Thankfully, Radio Cayman is running a lot of the radio plays and those kinds of things now that we have had in our little vault of information. But yes, please let me know who you are, and I will.
You can leave the information with Susan for sure.
Okay,
but
perfect.
Sure.
I'm wondering, is any of this in the National Archives? Is this something that the National Archives would also keep?
They probably would. Yes, but this is really. I mean, for video footage and things like that, it's more accessible if it's coming from us.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And you would want that.
Yes,
right?
we do have a YouTube channel, and we do we are on social media quite a lot.
You are.
So
we try to share what we can with the Cultural Foundation.
I do appreciate that. So yes, I can share that information with you offline. Thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate it.
And if there's any announcement or extension of the entry deadline, I'll keep an ear out. If not,
I will definitely take that under advisement. Definitely.
Is it annual then, that people can prepare ahead for next year, or?
I would like to. Yes, I would like this to be an annual program that happens.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call, and hopefully they're going to leave their information with Susan. That way you'll be able to be in contact with them again.
That would be awesome.
So excuse me, my bad. We do know the deadline so far is April 28th, right?
It is.
When do you choose the winners for each category?
That is later in May.
Okay. So it's
in
you don't have too long of a period.
No, it's not. I think it's basically a month.
Wow. Okay.
So I mean, I would not like to be in the judges' chairs because it's a lot of work to do in a short space of time.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
And because we are, as we spoke about collaborations, there's a number of events that are happening for the Queen's Jubilee and the Cultural Foundation and the National Gallery and the Youth Department. Like we're all collaborating to do wonderful things to celebrate the Jubilee.
Okay. Hence the theme being majesty.
Exactly. This is just one of. There's also going to be a tea party over at the National Gallery, which we're really looking forward to at the end of May. And that's where I was thinking we might be able to put on at least announce who the winner is. And, maybe if we're able to have the time to produce it, maybe we can do it then. If not not too long thereafter.
Yes, I'm like, those are really big ambitions you have right
now.
Yes. I know the work that it goes into a production for that
amount of work. Yes,
but you never know. I mean, the winner could be thinking, I am going to be the winner, and I will start producing
planning
for my end right now.
Right.
Oh, that would be great confidence.
Yes.
So you did mention that we haven't had this playwriting competition for a couple of years. Can you tell why it was?
Well, I think. When Ivan hit, the Harkwell closed for 3 years with all of the damage that it had. And I think other productions kind of went ahead of it. I know you're familiar, obviously, with Rundown, but Gimme Story is another big production. And there were several other programs that were put in place. So this one kind of, I think, it kind of just got shelved for a little while. So we're now taking it off the shelf because it's a brilliant idea.
But wait, it wasn't shelved from Ivan, was it?
I don't think we've had one since then.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's
so this is a
more than a couple years.
Comeback. Yes. We're making a comeback.
Well, that's a big thing. That's huge.
It is.
I would like to put out a challenge out there to a newer playwright. So my challenge, and listeners, if you are out there and you know of Caitlin Tyson, who was a former Miss Cayman Islands just a few years back. She wrote a play, directed, produced for a play she's done a couple, I believe, but this one was, I forget the name of it, but it was a Christmas kind of themed play for the Cayman Islands.
Lovely.
And I think she had 2 or 3 nights at Harkwell, a lot of support, but it was one of her big productions that she really did on her own.
Fantastic.
And I think it came born out of being during lockdown. And there was a lot of, from what I understand from her, just, hearing the distress from people and kind of people's spirits were down. Absolutely. So she wanted to do a play that drew on the spirit that people really do have in Cayman, which is usually more upful and more positive.
Absolutely. We are a very resilient people.
Absolutely. I agree with you
there.
That's
the only word I can put to them. We have faced so many things with great courage and grace, and resilience is definitely a characteristic. Yes.
Yeah, very much so. So my challenge is going out to Caitlin Tyson. So if anybody hears this, I would like you to know that Kathy Miller has challenged her to join this playwriting competition. I know you have it in you, Caitlin, and I would love to see you be a part of this. And you never know. Hopefully, and maybe you might be a winner.
Yes. Why not?
Or it could inspire you to just perhaps produce another play entirely. We'll see what happens. But that is my challenge. So
fantastic. I will look forward to receiving that.
I think we've got to go to a commercial break right now. But when we come back, I want to hear from you if you have any other playwrights out there that you would like to see some productions, some submissions come in from. Let's take it to a commercial break.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Kirk Freeport's Easter at Bayshore family event is back. This Easter Saturday, April 16th, hop down to the Bayshore Mall in Georgetown from 4 to 6 p.m. for sweet treats including popcorn, snow cones, and cotton candy. Don't miss the Easter bunnies or scavenger hunt with chocolate prizes. Plus, there's face painting and musical entertainment. The event is free, with free parking behind the mall for parents too. Visit KirkFreeport.com for more information. Happy Easter from Kirk Freeport!
Raising children is costly. That is why each year the Ministry of Education provides, through its Early Childhood Assistance Program, funding to assist Caymanian children to attend an early childhood center. For early childhood funding assistance, call the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit at 244-3155 or 936-0267, or download an application form from the ministry's website at www.gov.ky/education and email the completed form to ecap@gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks this afternoon. Right now in the studio with me from the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, we have Director Designate Amanda Brown. We are discussing the National Playwriting Competition, and I believe it's the first National Playwriting Competition since Ivan. Yeah. So that's
very special.
Absolutely, more than a couple years have passed.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big deal, and yes, as the caller previously said, it was announced a few weeks ago, and the deadline is April 28th to hand in your submission. I think it's just such a great opportunity, and I know with the creatives out there and the writers out there, you have those ideas. Just put it out, see what happens with this. And I also know perfectionism is quite a thing with an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I can be like that too when I'm creating. But I think the important thing is get it out.
Absolutely,
and
get it to us.
Know that it's always a work in progress.
Exactly.
So,
definitely.
And changes, as the rules state, changes could
are
be
expected.
made,
Yeah, they're expected.
Or expected, there you go.
Yeah,
Not even could be made.
Yeah, they're expected. It's quite natural for things. So, the more we create, the more we think about things, they tend to crystallize and take a slightly different form than we expected.
Yes, absolutely.
So we all have to be okay with change.
Absolutely. Now, I threw out a question to you right before the break, and that question was if you have any playwrights or performers out there that you would like to see join this playwriting competition, who would that be?
Actually, right at the top of my head was Aniki Brown, Hale now Brown, which was Brown before. I've been watching her recently doing a lot of poems and acting out the poems, and it's been fantastic to watch. And I'm quite certain that she has something up her sleeve that I would love to see.
Okay, excellent.
And the second person I thought of immediately was Matt Brown.
Yes.
I mean, do I need to say anything?
Matt Brown, if you didn't hear this, I'm going to be sending you the video myself. Well, both of us are challenging you. Another very, very creative person as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we're pretty blessed. We've got a lot of creative people, and I think now more than ever there are opportunities out there, and CNCF want to help artists. You know, we do 2 grant cycles. We award grants twice a year.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So I think it's one of the only places that an artist can submit their works and ask for support, financial support. And we do it twice a year. So one of the cycles just ended last month, and the next one is in September.
Okay.
And you can apply for absolutely anything creative, anything artistic, whether it's a play, whether it's a theatrical dance, whether it's literature, whether it doesn't matter. You can apply for absolutely anything, and the grants committee take everything into consideration, and they can award the funds.
Is there a max of how much can be given out in grants?
For an individual, don't quote me here, but
I won't.
I think for an individual, it just this year got raised to $3,000.
Wow, okay.
And for a group or a company, it's $6,000.
Okay, excellent.
So you can definitely get something done with that.
Right.
You know, it's definitely a good helping hand.
And let's say I received a grant and that process now is just coming to an end. Mm-hmm. Could I apply again within the year to? Okay.
I believe so. I don't think there is. I think there is a limit of time. There's a time limit before you can apply again. I believe there is. But again, don't quote me on that.
I'm not quoting you.
I'm learning to it.
Well, you've been in the position since about mid-September,
That's
right?
correct.
As director designate.
That's correct.
And you come from the more business kind of corporate world,
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
So how has that transition been going now into the arts?
Which
I know you love.
It's been incredible.
Okay.
It's been incredible. I absolutely loved working with Marcia while she was still there, and Henry as well, and being able to see art every day, you know, and experience it in different ways. And the Harkwell has a lot going on, but we really, really want the public to come in and use it as much as possible. It is really and truly the best price you can possibly get for, you know, to having a full stage in a 300-person seated auditorium, you know.
It's a great facility.
It is, and I'd like to see it used more, and I think we can do that now that we're kind of, I'll knock on wood, kind of coming out of COVID now, and things are kind of relaxing. So now we are back to maximum capacity of 300 at the Harkwell.
Okay, that's excellent.
Yes.
So for you, in this position since September-ish, do you have, and you have to spend a few months to really understand what's going on and kind
of... months is short.
Okay.
I mean, you know, with Marcia and Henry, there was 30 years. It was a lifetime.
Yeah.
And they built something amazing. Now, and we want to perpetuate, you know, that lineage, that
carry that torch.
Yes, carry that torch forward and try and make things, you know, take it to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
And they've given us a fantastic foundation to do that.
Okay.
They really have.
I hope they're on call in case you ever need to.
Oh, well, I asked, definitely. Please, can I call you? Please,
yes.
please. Like I said, it was fantastic working with both of them. And I know that I can call on them. They've been very, very gracious.
So in these short months that you have been there, have you seen a few things that you just want to prioritize?
Yes, I mean, there's obviously my focus is the business side of the business side of the foundation. So it's just streamlining certain policies, procedures, and just making things a bit more efficient, that kind of thing. But also looking at ways that, you know, we can do more programming collaboratively. You know, as I was saying before, we want to do, you know, right now we're looking at our summer camps. So we want to collaborate with locals, So
that would be. I think that's so key. I remember going to summer camps.
Yeah.
That had to do with acting and dance when I was younger.
Costume room.
I mean,
the costume room is amazing.
Oh.
And so yes.
I don't remember a costume room. This must have been after my
there's-
rundown.
There's
time.
there's a great costume room. Come on down. I'll show you.
Okay, excellent. I do believe we have a caller on the line right now. If we could take that call. Good afternoon, and thank you for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Kathy. Mario Ebanks here. How are you doing?
Great. How are you, Mario?
And good afternoon to Amanda. I just want to call to congratulate you on your new role and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
I just had one quick question and comment. In relation to succession planning and sort of mentoring, I'm just wondering whether Mr. Henry Matu in particular, and maybe others, but I know him in particular, whether he is actually available to you as a sort of mentor or a resource, or just to, assist with any kind of transitional stuff, which I think is very important.
I agree. Absolutely. Yes. We are doing what we can to, obviously there's, as I said before, 30 years of information and growth and creativity that, you can't replicate that in just documents, But yes, as I think I explained before, we are, currently going through a strategic planning exercise, and that is what it's really about, is kind of a shift for CNCF from being a production company to more being an arts council. So we would, then be able to help anyone do productions. We are still working with Henry on a few things. I definitely want to see a rundown this year. I don't know about anybody else. And that might be different, though. It might be someone else that is in the community that wants to do that. So we're going to go out to the community and do a lot of collaboration.
Good. Thank you very much. Good luck, and all the best.
Thank you so much, Mario.
A lot of your great work. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mario.
Okay.
Oh, it was nice to hear from Mario this afternoon.
That was lovely.
All right. So I right before he called, I know we were on the cusp of something. It has slipped me, but that's okay. That's all right. We'll get back to that.
Come back.
Right?
Come back.
It'll come. But we were going over your role a little bit and what your priorities were that you were saying. So, and again, you mentioned the new kind of strategic planning. That's a big thing.
Yes.
And kind of just forming the council. And a rundown is something hopefully you'd like to see.
Yes, because while the strategic planning exercise is happening, and that is being spearheaded by Natalie.
Right.
It's business as usual at CNCF, so I have to make sure that we produce what we have promised the government and the country that we will produce. So, we are looking at new ideas and different approaches to things. So I'm really excited about the rest of the year. I think we're going to be able to do some really fun things, maybe not exactly how they've been done before, but just slightly different, and using different people, and like I said, more collaboration with that's what we want. We want to invite everyone who is artistic, who are artistic, to come in, and the facility is theirs. It is there for them. And we are there to help.
Is there also a core group of volunteers, or?
We do have some wonderful volunteers. I thank you for bringing that up. And actually, we're about to do a bit of a drive, because, as you may know, we recently did a grand opening at Miss Lassie's house in South Sound, and that went so beautifully. And we're having a lot more interest there. So it's difficult because our staff is very small at the moment.
Okay.
So we're looking at ways to change that, to be able to handle more capacity ourselves. And yes, we're actually about to do a volunteer drive, and we're looking for what Miss Virginia always refers to as docents, which are, they know all of the information about Miss Lassie and the property and the times and everything else. And we just need more people that are willing to help out and be able to do tours and things like that.
Okay, excellent. We've got to go to the news right now, but when we come back, we're going to go over that national playwriting competition again. We're going to look at some of the past winners as well. and just go over some of those categories and the rules and the criteria for submissions, and then that's about it. So we're going to take them to the 1 p.m. headline news right now, and then we'll be back with Amanda Brown from the Cayman National Cultural Foundation.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing advises the public that all its office locations will be closed on Friday, April 15th and Monday, April 18th in observance of Good Friday and Easter Monday. The Breakers and West Bay locations will be open on Saturday, April 16th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Customers are reminded that they can renew their vehicle and driver's license online via DVDL's website at dvdl.gov.ky. In international news, New York City police have named a person of interest after a morning rush hour shooting at a subway station that left more than 20 people injured. Police said they were looking for Frank R. James in connection with the attack, as he had rented a U-Haul van that may be linked to the shooting. The key to the van rented in Philadelphia was found at the scene. The carbon-cutting promises made at COP26 would see the world warm by just under 2 degrees Celsius this century, according to a new analysis. The study finds that if all the pledges made by countries are implemented in full and on time, temperatures would rise by 1.9 to 2 degrees Celsius. However, there is a far grimmer news on the idea of keeping warming under 1.5 Celsius. The paper finds there is just a 6 to 10% chance of staying under this key threshold. References to a gay relationship in the new Fantastic Beasts movie were removed by Warner Brothers for Chinese audiences. 6 seconds of the third installment, The Secrets of Dumbledore, which alluded to the romantic past between Dumbledore and Grindelwald, were cut. Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling said Dumbledore was gay in 2007, but the movies had never explicitly referenced his sexuality until now. The producers and Warner Brothers said the spirit of the film remains. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And if you didn't hear me say it earlier, yesterday was his birthday. So big shout outs to Dwayne. Happy birthday. If you see him out and about, make sure that you do give him some birthday blessings. And right now in studio with me, I have Amanda Brown. She's the Director Designate from the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. We are discussing the National Playwriting Competition, and Amanda let us know that I don't think we've had this competition since Ivan.
That's correct.
Since Ivan came around and did the Ivan thing, and we know the Harkwell got, I think, a generous donation, right, to be able to rebuild and
yes,
sustain itself. And
yes,
it looks beautiful. I mean,
yes,
I love the facility.
We're getting there. We still, I mean, it is an old facility. It's been there for a number of years.
It doesn't have that look to it.
Yeah,
it looks modern and great.
We try to. That's our job.
Yes.
Right? That's one of the major things that we're there for, to make sure that the facilities are kept very well so that the people of the Cayman Islands can enjoy it.
Yes.
And be able to use it whenever they like.
Yes, and they do. They do. So, going back to the playwriting competition, we know that we have some of the past winners.
Yes. I can tell you that some of the past winners include Donna Tulcox, and her plays were Breaking In, Fat Chance, or The Honeymoon Over.
I remembered The Honeymoon Over.
Really?
Yes, I very much remember that one. And
there's also Dr. Stephen Pickering, who did Happy New Year and The Weekend. And Lennon Christian, The Navigation Tree. Charles D. Bush, My Brother's Keeper, and Secondary Colors. There's also Pat Bennett's Isabel, and that was produced. It was actually to go on stage just before Ivan hit. So what happened is they ended up producing it for radio.
Okay.
And so both that Isabel and Donna Tulcock's The Honeymoon Over and Fat Chance, all of those became produced for radio.
And they were on Radio Cayman.
And they were on Cayman. Yes, they were.
Absolutely.
They were.
I believe we have another caller. Susan yeah, we do. We have another caller on the line. So good afternoon. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon, host Kathy Miller. Thank you very much for hosting.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Brown. I'm looking forward to the revelations that are going to come with your heritage in Cayman Brac.
Oh, definitely.
And also, there is a lot of DNA that's buried, like your evolution from corporate world to your artistic roots. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to also enabling some of that heritage that resided with your grandfather, Wiley Lopez, the pianist of significance during the 1950s in Jamaica.
Thank you so much for bringing him up, actually. Talk about having artistic family relatives. My grandfather played piano by ear.
Oh, wow.
He never did lessons. He just played, and it was very unique.
That's incredible.
And he was the center of an era and a universe that intersected between Cayman and Jamaica during the 50s, 60s.
That's correct.
That will have some bearing on some new fruit that's going to be coming out of Ms. Brown's involvement.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Oh, wait, don't hang up now. Don't hang up now. I'm keeping you on the line. I know who the caller is, but I won't reveal you. So my question to you is, I know you love the arts. I know you're a writer yourself. So have you ever thought of entering something like this? Because I know you have the ability, and you have the voice, and you have the direction.
I am right now overshadowed by greater talents within the family tree, so I am there as a fertilizer for those roots.
See, look at the poetry that was just given to us off the cusp.
Wow.
I think you have some other abilities that you should consider one time sharing with Cayman.
It is likely that in my sunset years that things may emerge. Most certainly. I think that life is too precious not to explore every part of who you are and bring out all that good furniture in our lives. And Cayman has a remarkable resource. The fascinating thing about culture and its importance to this very important, this community is during the very difficult years of Cayman striving to make ends meet. Men at sea, women trying to survive by being the business and family principal person at home. The arts have always been sidelined, even though they were always there. And it is just now that it is emerging. When I say just now, over the last 40 years, it's been emerging and taking its rightful place.
I agree.
You're here for the right time, the right place to do the right thing.
Well, I felt that, to be honest with you. I took my time in finding a new position, and when this came up, it just felt right. And I know that I have the board's support and thankfully your support, and I've spoken to a lot of people, and we just want to rebuild those relationships and bring everybody back in and create the new stuff.
There's a whole lot of resource that we need to hurry up and grasp. There is a lot of energy left in our older population.
Definitely.
And that's one of the reasons why I'd like for us to reach out to the older people in Cayman Brac. Their stories are remarkable and they can come to life. And they would look forward to trying to do their very best to make them come to life before they transition to another place. So we need to pay attention while we can, because there are umpteen stories that have been hidden, suppressed, and now trying to find its rightful place as a champagne bubble coming to the top.
Well, I will endeavor to make sure that takes the forefront in the near future.
Yes.
I thank you very much for calling.
Yes.
So beautifully
Thank you
said.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And he's on the money with that, because there is stories that need to be shared, but that's how we've been able to transition in culture and in time, and it's the sharing of stories.
Absolutely.
So just spoken words, sharing stories, telling stories, that's how we were able to preserve so much of history, so much of just family values and how things go. Just sharing the stories and continuing generation through generation, and it's how the ways in which you share the stories, I think that's continually evolving.
Definitely.
But the whole basis of just sharing a story, whatever it is.
Yes.
So that's why something like this is very grassroots. It is very artistic, because it's from your perception, your eyes, and you're sharing it with other people who are also coming together, hopefully if you're a winner, to add more elements into the production and bring it to the rest of the people. So it's a huge team effort.
Definitely.
You had mentioned about collaboration. You spoke about that a couple of times. And I'm curious if the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, for these kind of events, if they reach out to, let's say, like the Cayman Drama Society.
Everybody.
Okay, all right. So you're able to get a response from them.
Absolutely, everybody. This is
awesome.
The restrictions are only that it can't be something we've already produced, or nobody on the staff of CNCF can enter, those kinds of things. But it's for everyone.
Okay,
absolutely,
that's good.
Everyone.
So you're able to bring those networks together, and they can go into their network and reach out to people.
Absolutely, we're trying to get a list of emails for all the teachers, so that we can give them a lot of information, because we have some great information on the site. We have kid activity packs that Miss Virginia has put together that are just so much fun, and they're excellent. There's resources there that I think they're just, no one knows about them.
Okay.
So I'm going to do my best to change that.
Excellent.
Get the communication going, get the word out there. And like you said, the collaboration part, we want everybody. We want to help anyone in Cayman. If they want to express themselves in this way, we want to help them.
All right. Well, we only have a couple minutes left, 2 minutes left here before we go to our next commercial break. So I wanted to make sure that we get the key points here. We know that there's two competition categories.
Correct.
If you could give us those categories again, Amanda.
Okay, the first is age 17 and under. And those submissions can be skits, which shall be 10 to 20 minutes in playing time, or one-act plays, which should be 30 to 45 minutes long. And then the second category is age 18 and over. And plays submitted in this category may be either one-act, 30-minute to 1 hour in length plays, or full length, which is an hour and a half to 2 hours in playing time.
And I think I said April 28th is when you have to.
That's the deadline.
Get your submission
at the moment. I will take under advisement from a previous caller that it is tight. It is a tight deadline, and if I can organize an extension, I will let you guys know.
Okay, that sounds good.
If we need to give more time to get more plays in, give people more opportunity, then I would like to do that.
We also, you're entering this competition, we hope, the playwriting competition, and you're selecting a winner from each category.
That's correct.
And one winning play from either category will be selected for production as a radio play to be broadcast, hopefully here, Radio Cayman.
Yes, absolutely.
As we've done in the past. And also the production of, hopefully, a stage reading, or the winning script will be presented by the CNCF, so it'll be a stage production.
Yes, we will help produce it.
Awesome. There's also a couple trophies and certificates awarded in each category.
That's correct.
So to give those for under age 17 and under.
The best skit will receive $100, and the best one act, $300. In the 18 and over, first place, one act is $500, and first prize full length is $800.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So even more incentives to join.
Yes.
And again, if you're looking for some of the rules that we mentioned earlier, if you want to know about entering the competition, you should
go to the website.
Absolutely go to the website. It's artscayman.org, and there's a button, I believe you said.
Right, yes. Right on the main page, it says National Playwriting Competition. You click on that, it'll take you to everything that you need, including
all your info,
the registration form.
So we hope we have sparked some ideas,
yes,
and we're going to get some of those creative juices flowing for some of the writers out there who have maybe been thinking about it, or the writers that are out there that are already working on their production, to send to the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. So we hope it'll be great, and I know we're going to have you back to tell us about how the judging process went and who won and whatnot. So.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining. It was great to have you on, and I know we'll be talking with you probably within 6 to 8 weeks or so at least to see how this went. So thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you.
Congrats again on your new post as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. We're going to go to a commercial break, and then after that, we're going to be talking about the Queen's Jubilee Tree Planting Initiative. I almost forgot what I was going to be talking about, but good thing I have my notes. So we'll be doing that after the break.
The annual business surveys are ongoing. The surveys are conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office and seek to measure the economic performance of all local industries. The survey forms for this year were mailed or emailed to all relevant entities operating in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the Economics and Statistics Office. For assistance in filling up the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4607. Better data, better decisions, better business.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
It's Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary, and we're celebrating with you. If it's your 50th birthday in 2022, we have a $50 gift card for you. If you're celebrating your 50th wedding anniversary or higher, it's $500. We'll also donate $50,000 to charities and increase the rewards for store purchases too. Purchases of $500 will receive branded gifts, while purchases of $100 gain entry into our monthly sweepstakes with prizes from luxury brands. View terms and conditions on kirkfreeport.com.
This is how we wake you up in the morning.
Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
There's nothing to go back to.
Give me Jesus in the morning.
For the God of the mountain is still God in the
Praise time. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning. Yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And on this segment of the show, I'm welcoming Fred Burton from the Department of Environment and Kristen Smith, Senior Policy Advisor with the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. They couldn't put any more words into that title. We're here to discuss the Queen's Jubilee Tree Planting Initiative. So good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Doing great.
Good. I know, Fred, that you were here with us this morning. So
yes, on Protectionarian nominations it was this morning.
So short break that you had before you returned to Radio Cayman. Good to have you back. Thank you.
Thank you too.
So as we're talking about the Queen's Jubilee Tree Planting Initiative, can you tell us how this whole idea even came about?
We were focusing on a national tree planting program, working with other ministries, Ministry of Agriculture, the National Trust, the Botanic Park. We were trying to develop a national tree planting program for Cayman, and the Governor and Premier heard that we were working on this and said, hey, can you do something for the Queen's Jubilee? They were actually in the UK doing the Queen's Green Canopy. So we just mimicked that program, which was developing a website and being able to allow people to pin their tree on a website so we can see where's the tree actually going, what did you plant, so we can track it over the years to come and say, hey, there's the tree. So that's how it kind of morphed into this this like a pilot program for the national tree planting program that we still want to roll out. So that's where it kind of started from. So it's a big UK initiative, and they have on their website that British overseas territories can take part. We can actually register on their website as well as Cayman Planting Trees. So that's where it is right now.
But even before the Queen's Jubilee was brought into this, you had mentioned that you already had a tree planting initiative that you were doing. Are we seeing a huge depletion? I mean, we know that the mangroves keep getting torn down.
Yes.
But aside from that, is there, what was really the drive for that tree planting initiative?
Well, the whole climate change and all over the world, people are, planting more and more trees for to reduce carbon emissions. And yes, we see the road clearing, we see the mangroves, and we really want to go out and even we're trying to go out now and extract trees from the road clearing. We just got permission from NRA and DOE to do that for between Bobby Thompson and Outpost Street, to take out those native trees and replant them in schools and public areas. And just, it's really hot out there, right? So to really keep down that urban heat, try and reuse these plants instead of just clearing. Try and get that message across of, yes, we need development. Yes, there's that whole balance, but you can still extract trees and reuse them.
I didn't know that you could do that, really. At least, more mature. I didn't think that was
the
really
saplings
possible,
especially, right? You take them from young and it's easy to just put to the side. And the bigger ones, the root system may get damaged, but there are a lot of saplings out there. And we'd really love landowners to let us know, hey, we're about to clear. We have some mahogany saplings. You're welcome to take them. We're really in need of some of those.
Oh, lovely. That sounds like a very delicate process then to be able to collect all those, everything that is cut down to replant.
I've heard it is quite the process. We have some technical advisors on board. Miss Joanne from Caribbean Bloom and National Trust is on board to show us how to properly extract and maintain so that they're kept alive. Yeah.
Okay, well, excellent. Now, this initiative, when did it begin?
It started, in the UK it officially started in October, but it is a whole year-long event, so January to December. We officially launched mid-January, I believe. So people do have a full year to plant and make it count towards the Jubilee. Even if you're planting for something else, you can still pin it to the map and say this is part of making Cayman green, planting more trees for the island, anything that you're doing, you can still pin it to the map. And you can put your picture there, you can put a picture of yourself, picture of the tree, with the tree. Yes, and it's a nice little memento. You get a little plaque back, a digital plaque that you can post on your social media. Say, hey, I planted a tree for the Jubilee.
Okay, so it's open to anyone. Anybody can go and plant a tree and kind of be part of that. It's a green initiative, but the Queen's Jubilee Tree Planting Initiative.
Yes.
So I think OC left some leaf of life here for, I don't remember if it was for Susan, and Susan broke off a piece of that leaf of life and said, here you go, Kathy, just stick it in some water, which stayed on my counter for about 3 days. It almost died. I know Susan's looking at me like, Kathy, I told you to plant it. But Susan also said it's going to catch real quick. And I planted it after 3 days or so. and it did catch quick, and it's big and strong now. It was a little floppy, and now I'm going to put it outside, inside my house. So something like that. Even if I just planted this little leaf of life in my little backyard,
it's wonderful.
I could be part of this initiative. Does that count?
Well, it's not a tree.
It's a tree. It has to be.
Has
to be a tree. Okay.
It's definitely not a tree.
Okay.
So the thing about trees, of course, is they are sizable things, and they do several important things, right? So a tree, as Kristen just points out, is a shade thing, and that, I think, is the first thing that people think. A big tree with a big canopy. It's a blessing in the heat.
Shade, yeah.
And we have lost, most of the tree cover in most of the areas we've developed, and what tends to happen is that the cheapest options are to bring in trees from Florida, from the nursery trade, and plant them to replace. But native trees have a lot of things going for them if we can ever get to the point of using those instead. Because native trees belong here, right? They're already adapted to conditions here. They're adapted to the heat, they're adapted to the soil, they're adapted to the seasonal drought, and they deal with all that really, really well. But they also provide habitat for native Caymanian critters. So the birds know what to do with them, right? And the lizards know what to do with them, and the insects know what to do with them. So the whole tree becomes part of the Cayman ecosystem that was taken away. And if you can plant a diversity of native trees, even in a built-up area, then you'll start to get nesting native birds again. You'll see nature coming back, because these are the trees that make up the Cayman ecosystem, rather than something from Madagascar and something from the Philippines and something from Australia or wherever it might be. So yeah, I've been trying to advocate for a long, long time that we try to find an economic model that enables us to use native plants and landscaping. That we have some gorgeous tree species here. I mean,
what are some of those
native? Fully grown mahogany tree in their backyard,
yes, that's true.
And we've got things that are completely unique to Cayman. We've got ironwood trees here, Chiananthus caymanensis, and it's called caymanensis because it's Caymanian.
Okay.
And you won't find that tree anywhere else in the world, and there are a bunch of things like that really so much characterize what Cayman was like, and still is if you go walking into the bush. The old-timers will know about the trees that they used to harvest to build boats with, right? The pomperas and the cedar trees and the mahogany trees. They're all still out there in the forest, but the forest is receding as we take over more and more of the landscape. And it's quite rare now to find a native tree still here. I remember last year going with the Director of Agriculture to a little park that's being developed in the middle of Georgetown, right near here. And one of the community representatives pointed to this tree and said, "What's this tree?" And I was looking at this tree, and my goodness, it's a fustic tree. I haven't seen a fustic tree in Grand Cayman in the longest of times, but there it was, standing in the middle of Georgetown. That must be a relic of the original forest. And
awesome.
Doing really, really well there.
And still there.
And still there,
okay,
yeah.
Good. Excellent. So it's still, I mean, I know of the silver thatch tree, so would that be considered like a native Caymanian tree as well?
Absolutely. And again, unique to Cayman. The thing about some of these trees is in their native setting, they're very, very slow growing. So if you are driving out on the Queen's Highway and you see these silver thatches going 20, 30 feet above the canopy there, those things are probably several hundred years old.
Oh, wow.
They grow so slowly. They were there before probably some of those things were there before the first humans settled in Cayman. And it's the same with some of these old bitter plum trees and things that you'll find deep in the forest in Little Cayman, and their girth is approaching the size of this table.
Wow.
And they're all twisted and gnarled and half dead, and you look at that thing and say, that thing's probably 500, 600 years old.
Wow.
But you take these trees as saplings, which is a good way to get things started quickly, and feed them and give them water, and they'll grow a lot faster. But even so, a silver thatch palm is a very slow-growing tree. Mahogany will grow fast, and I think that's one of the reasons that we're focusing on that one, as well as its strong cultural connection.
Yes.
A lot of the native trees will grow fast if you give them soil and water
and a little bit of love.
A little bit of love.
From what I have to talk to my plants. I have to get trees now. So we got to go to a 1:30 commercial break right now. And when we return, we will still be discussing the Queen's Tree Planting Initiative.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross, now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Campers, please be advised that a new campsite has been established east of the Frank Sound Dock and launch ramp. All Easter campers are encouraged to stay safe, take care of your environment, and have an enjoyable holiday.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And in this segment of Talk Today, we are talking about the Queen's Jubilee Tree Planting Initiative. In studio, I have Fred Burton from the Department of Environment and Kristen Smith from the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Right before the break, Fred was talking about what some of those native plants of the Cayman Islands are, and mahogany was one of them that you had mentioned, and that's one of the trees that you're hoping that people will be planting right now during this year-long initiative. And I think, Kristen, also before the break, you'd let us know that around mid-January, this initiative in the Cayman Islands started. And we're looking to do it for maybe a year. And it just began a couple months ago, right? So we're only like 2, maybe 3 months in. But do you know so far how many trees have been planted?
Absolutely. So our website keeps track of how many planted and per constituency, as we're trying to do a little competition between constituencies as well. So
I like this.
In total, we have about 46 trees planted. Of those, 4 are mahogany. And I believe it's North Side in the lead with 14 trees. So it's going very well. It's a nice little database that we can keep forever to show exactly where these trees are, how many, which species, how big they are. And we hope to tag them as well, geo-tracking. So yeah, it's a very nice, cool feature. You can go on and see in real time what's happening, where these trees are planted.
As you said, it's a database for government to keep track, but it's also a great visualization element for people who are planting trees to see who is doing this, and if you're getting really competitive in your constituency, all you have to say is it's a competition and I'm there.
Yes.
So I very much have a competitive spirit in a good way.
Wonderful.
So that's a great way if you're in your constituency and you're saying, hey, let's go beat Northside. They're at, you said they're in the lead, right?
I think they have 14 in the lead.
Yeah, in the lead right now. So we've had 46 trees planted since mid-Jan, which is pretty good. But I know we can get a lot more.
Oh, yes.
So look to see what's going on and maybe in your neighborhoods and see how you can get other people involved to plant these trees. I'm sure my landlords do not want to hear about me going to find some saplings to plant in the backyard, but I just might do that now that the leaf of life is a plant, not a tree. So moving on from that. Now, we mentioned that website. Do we have the website name? Because I don't think I said
so
that.
the gov.ky/national tree planting is the website that people can log on to.
That's easy.
To get full information about this. We can also nominate a tree. We're looking at recognizing trees in the communities that people feel are of importance or have a cultural significance or something to them, and just kind of, not sure what to do with the nominations, but just recognizing a tree and saying, hey, this is something special that we should hold on to. Maybe we'll go out there and tag it, check with the landowner first, of course, and just say, hey, before you consider knocking this down, we'd like to recognize that this is an important tree. And there is a tree preservation order that we could do under the Department of Planning, so I think we'll wait till all of them come in, assess them, and see if it's worth putting as a protection order for these important trees. There's a lot out there.
That would be really cool. I mean, at the moment there are, I think, just a handful of tree protection orders in place. Yeah. But,
where would those be? The ones that are in the
that's
tree
the
protection
thing,
orders?
We don't. There's a random spreadsheet somewhere, but I don't know.
You don't know which trees those are.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I'm sure they're written, and I'm sure if you go out there, but it's not like a nice cool map where you can see it's here and it's there, right? So I think. And maybe when this is done, we'll get them all on there, right?
But that's pretty cool. It would be good to know, especially if you can recognize off the bat that it is protected. So
with a nice label to say, hey, this is such and such tree, and it's recognized for its importance. And
yes. One of the questions here we have: the world's native, endemic, and indigenous are sometimes used interchangeably. The words native, endemic, and indigenous are sometimes used interchangeably when it comes to local species. What exactly do each of these terms mean? Native, endemic, indigenous.
So one of those is not a technical word, and the other two are definitely technical terms. So native is a common language thing.
Okay.
And people generally understand what that means. I guess native suggests always here, right? Comes from here.
Yeah.
So something that's native to the Cayman Islands. The scientific word that's used for that, and there's no reason to use the scientific word, if the common vernacular word is probably better, but the scientific word for that is indigenous.
Yes.
It's indigenous here. It means it evolved here, it comes from here, it belongs here. And typically when you try and figure this out, what you want to know is, was it here before humans started changing everything?
How do you
because we
figure
have
that out?
changed so much here, right? We've brought in things from elsewhere, we've changed landscapes, but before all that started, what was actually here? Those are the ones that are indigenous.
How do you figure that out? Which was here already?
Well, it's quite difficult for some of these things, but mostly what you can do is you can look at historical records. So people started looking at flora here way back in the 1800s. And there's some documentation all the way back from then. And then George Proctor did the flora of the Cayman Islands. He was doing a lot of that work in the early 70s, although he didn't publish it until like 1990s time. So there's quite a lot of scientific records of species that come from early on. And then you can look at for a lot of them, you look at their distribution. So you've got a tree here that's called West Indian Cedar, Cidralla odorata, and you can look at its distribution, and you'll see it's in Cuba, it's in Jamaica, it's in Central America, it goes down to South America, and then you look in a bit more detail, and then you find out that somebody's figured out the ones that are here in Cuba are a little bit different from all the other ones, obviously it's indigenous here, right? because it fits into that geographic pattern and there's things going on. What gets really interesting is when it's not just indigenous, but it's also endemic.
Okay. You have a good memory because I was gonna bring up the next word in case you had forgot it, but endemic was one of the words, yes.
So when you talk, endemic unfortunately has a completely different meaning when you start talking about diseases. So you've got to put diseases out of your mind,
okay.
Right? Which is a good thing to do for a change, right?
Yes.
So for a plant or an animal, if it's endemic, what it means is it's unique to whatever area it's endemic to.
Okay.
So you can have an animal like the blue iguana that's endemic to Grand Cayman.
Okay.
And that means...
I would have said indigenous to the Cayman Islands.
It is indigenous
yes.
to the Cayman Islands. It's indigenous to Grand Cayman. It's not indigenous to Cayman Brac or Little Cayman because they don't occur there.
Okay.
They have a different iguana over there. But the key thing about it is it's indigenous to Grand Cayman, but it's not indigenous anywhere else in the world. And that gives it that description endemic. It's endemic to Grand Cayman.
Okay.
Whereas the ironwood tree, the Cayman ironwood tree, is endemic to the Cayman Islands because it's here and it's in Little Cayman and it's on the Brac.
Okay.
But nowhere else in the world. So our endemic things are our unique Caymanian plants and animals. They are indigenous, but when they're endemic, it gives them that extra, like, if you want to see these things, you have to come to Cayman.
Right.
If you're Caymanian, these are the things that give your country a biological identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like if you blindfold me and drop me in the forest on the Brac without knowing I'm on the Brac, and I take the blindfolders off, I can look around and I can see this tree, that cactus, and it won't take me 10 minutes to figure out I'm in the Brac, because every island has its unique assemblage of plants and animals. And there's stuff there that isn't here, that isn't in Little Cayman, that isn't in Jamaica, that isn't in Cuba. And that's why I guess I go back to this thing that if we're going to do tree planting, let's plant our native Caymanian trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel if we could drop you off in the middle of the Brac with a blindfold on and you're in a forest and you know I'm in the Brac because of these plants, I am definitely bringing you on any Survivor challenge that I have to go on because you will know. And you'll probably know some of the, I guess, the bush medicine, as people like to call it, that could come.
There's others who know a lot more about that than I do. I'm no bush medicine man.
Susan is my source for that, actually.
That's more likely, yeah.
If anybody, it's definitely Susan. So to make sure I've got this endemic and indigenous thing correct, during the break I'd mentioned some little plant whose name I forget again, but it's in the Brac, and would I be correct in saying it's indigenous to the Cayman Islands, but it's endemic to that little area of the Brac? I think you said Spot Bay.
You're talking about Sybil's groundbeard.
Yes, that little plant.
That's a little shrub that grows on the cliffs.
Okay.
Over Spot Bay. You know how the cliffs at the east end of the Brac, the bottom of the cliffs are all shrouded in the trees that grow up at the base, and then there's the exposed piece of cliff at the top.
Yes.
And it's that exposed piece of the cliff at the top, from Spot Bay all the way back to Big Channel Land. That is where Sybil's groundbeard grows, and nowhere else in the entire world.
So it's endemic to Cayman Brac.
So it's endemic not only to Cayman Brac, but it's endemic to Spot Bay Cayman Brac.
Yes, very specific.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So I've got it right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. What kinds of ecosystem services do native and endemic trees provide?
Many. I think probably in this context, one of the most important things trees do is they breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen. We need oxygen for life, but the carbon dioxide building up in the atmosphere is becoming a huge, huge problem, and it's going to be a massive problem for Cayman because it's making the sea level rise, and that's a scary thing on a little island like this, to say the least. Trees absorb carbon from the atmosphere and store it in their wood. So as long as a tree is standing and growing, it's pulling carbon out of the atmosphere. And forests on a global scale are massive in that respect. And we talk about, the Amazon rainforest and the Siberian taiga forest and all of this thing. These huge areas of forest are really, really vital to managing the global carbon balance. But there's other stuff going on here which is really interesting, which is mainly about mangroves, actually. And this is, I guess, getting a little bit off the tree planting subject. But mangroves lay down peat. And if you think of any mangrove swamp you've been in, there, it's muddy, right?
Yes.
That mud is organic. It's full of carbon. And as the sea level creeps up, the mangrove keeps putting more and more peat down. And so the whole level of the mangrove forest rises to keep pace with rising sea level. And every little bit that it comes up is made of carbon from the atmosphere. It's pulling a carbon out of the atmosphere, it's putting it into this peat layer and storing it there. And as long as we let that stay, and as long as we let that grow, it's helping us and it's helping the world. So yeah, carbon storage is a big thing for trees. But there's so many other things they do. We mentioned that they provide us with shade.
Yes.
And they provide us with oxygen. But they provide habitat for other things, particularly anybody who likes seeing birds around the place. Birds and trees are really, really related, right?
Very much
they
so.
nest in them, they feed on the fruits, they feed on insects that feed on the trees. They're kind of at the root of many, many, many ecosystems and food webs. So the more trees we have, the more life there is.
Right.
And it's really, really a fundamental thing in the whole ecosystem here.
I would have to agree, and I think, Kristen, even before you said heat is it's really hot out there, and we as we mentioned, that it'll bring the shade, but even with the more building, the more concrete you have, the more heat is generated from that. So to be able to ensure that we do have trees, that we're able to keep the place a little cooler, not just for the sake of nature, but the scenery as well. Nobody wants to live on a concrete-looking island, right? That's not what people are coming here for. So it's so important to replenish our island with trees and hopefully use, preferably, the native trees in Cayman. We have to go to a quick commercial break, but when we're back, we're going to continue our discussion on the Queen's Jubilee Tree Planting Initiative.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Every day in the Cayman Islands, nonprofits and their volunteers work tirelessly, improving our communities and the lives of the people within them.
With GiversPlanet.com, you can make a difference by supporting a fundraising effort or starting your own. Givers Planet provides an online solution to conveniently raise money for your worthy cause. Whether you are fundraising for medical needs, education, animal welfare, youth programs, religious missions, school PTA efforts, or a nonprofit.
Simply create your fundraiser at GiversPlanet.com and spread the word to your local and international supporters so that they can visit and make a secure online donation. Start fundraising online today with GiversPlanet.com.
Research tells us that the best age for parents to start having conversations with their children about the dangers of underage drinking is when their kids are 9 years old. Studies show that parents have a significant influence on young people's decision to drink. So talk, they are listening. The NDC offers parents advice on how to talk to their children about underage drinking and prepares you for the tough questions like, did you drink as a child? For tips, log on to www.ndc.ky. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. In the studio, I have Fred Burton from the Department of Environment, and I have Kristen Smith from the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. We're talking about the Queen's Jubilee Tree Planting Initiative, and Fred was giving a lot of information right before that break, and also giving the big definitions there, the differences between what's native, endemic, and indigenous. And you taught me a couple things there, Fred, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And if we're going back to the tree planting initiative, because that's really what this is about. It's a year of, we're looking at Cayman, all the residents, if possible, to join this tree planting initiative and plant at least one tree. So we're encouraging them to do so and to pin it on the website, which is gov.ky/nationaltreeplanting.com.
Just National Tree Planting.
Sorry. Get rid of the .com part. Just National Tree Planting, and are being planted. And not to make a pun, but you can see how this is going to be growing over the year. So in talking about growing trees, what do you think some of the easier plants are for residents to grow?
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely sticking to these native and endemic trees. So we've got the mahogany, the strawberry, and it's pretty good for people that forget to water their trees, or for instance, we planted a mahogany out by the glass house, and water wasn't easily accessible, and it did die. It looked to me like it died, and I was ready to come and swap out this tree, right? But what I heard was going into tree shock, and it lost all of its leaves, but then it came back, and I was like, hey, so these are very hardy trees that already exist here that you can just put in the ground and they will survive even if you forget to water. And it's rainy season coming up now, so no excuses to go out and just put it in the ground, especially if you're about to clear, you're trying to clear up a patch, you see your neighbor clearing, say, hey, I see some saplings, can I dig those up and just replant and create a new ecosystem over here. So, yeah.
And relatively easy to take care of?
Yes, yeah. I mean, we had the suggestion of putting a pipe in the ground if you really do want to make sure it is water, and with an empty bottle, so it slowly drips into the plant, into the root system. But, yeah, it's rainy season's coming. It should be relatively easy. Like I said, the mahogany is quick to grow, strawberry and cabbage. We have been collecting mahogany seeds and giving them out to schools. We do have some more, so please email us if you do want to try seeds from scratch. That's been interesting. I put mine in a Ziploc bag with a wet paper towel, and it stayed very moist. It takes about 3 weeks or so, so I'm waiting for that to come along and see what happens there. I am not a tree person. My trees die. I do not water them, so this will be interesting. I'm the perfect person for this project, right?
Yes.
I do not water plants.
This is why I get snake plants.
So it's fascinating. I just put them on the porch in the Ziploc bag, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so it's supposed to grow in the bag?
Well, it's supposed to start germinating.
Okay.
And then part 2 will be to put it in dirt and then see the saplings start to grow. And then part 3, if I get there, will be to put it in the ground.
Okay. You're going to get there.
We are going to get there.
Hopefully.
That's right.
Talk to them. That's all I understand is talk to them, and it'll things help with that. That's what I have been doing.
So there's another shortcut to getting a good tree. If you want to plant a red birch tree, you can cut a limb off a red birch tree and stick it in the ground, and it'll grow.
Ah, just as easy as that.
Living fence posts.
I'm going to try this, Fred, because that was
a traditional
very easy.
thing. It was one of the ways you could very, very economically mark out and create a fence. You just basically put these birch pieces in the ground. You could run your barbed wire fence along it, and then the birches would set out roots and they start to grow. And you can go out to places in East End now where you can see these straight rows of birch trees. That's exactly what it was. It was a fence.
Wonderful.
That sounds
living
awesome.
fence posts.
I'm going to try the red birch tree. Hopefully my neighbors won't be watching me wondering what I'm doing if I'm allowed to do this. But
a good thick piece.
Hey, okay. Yes, okay.
Fence post size.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can handle that. Where can the public get, I guess, if they're looking to plant these trees, maybe they don't know anybody who has the saplings, where should they be going to look for more the native trees? Because we're trying to encourage them to plant the native trees, right?
Well, we know Caribbean Blooms does have some. They have a website, caribbeanblooms.ky. They do sell native trees. A few nurseries have a few trees here and there. I know a lot were destroyed in Hurricane Grace, and people are starting to replenish. But that's a good place to start with Caribbean Blooms. And Botanic Park, I think, is starting to replenish their stock as well.
Okay, excellent. So that's for the native and endemic trees, right? Okay. And if they want to get more information about growing the native and endemic trees, because it's one thing about I'm just going to go and buy some, but I guess to understand how to grow them, how to take care of them, is that information is possible.
Yeah, we do have some information on our website, and people have given us tips on what they've done. We're posting those on the website as well on gov.ky/national tree planting. Someone on the Sister Islands, the National Trust for the Sister Islands, has been collecting mahogany seeds, and they've shown us what their failures and their successes, which is great to see. So we're putting that together to post on the website as well. And then we had another school that said, hey, we don't see anything. We want to try a different way. Can we try again? And so it's great that they want to keep trying and try different methods. That's a cool activity for schools as well, different methods of how to plant. And we do actually have a primary resource guide with all these different things, math formulas you could do, different activities that you could do with this tree planting. So that's on our website as well. And a quiz is on there as well. So if you finish with your Wordle, there is a quiz on there. So test out your knowledge on trees.
I have yet to join the Wordle.
Me too.
Gathering out there, it's not my thing, I think. But now this program, it encourages the public to propagate mahogany trees from seed. Do you have any tips to share? I know that you're trying something yourself. What about you, Fred?
Well, I have 1, 2, 3 big mahogany trees in my yard now that I grew from seed.
Okay. How long did it take?
Well, these trees are now about 20 years old. Okay, and they're big.
And they're big.
They're not monster trees. You know, they're not like nobody's going to stand and say, "My goodness, what a big tree!" But they tower over my head, and they create a lot of shade, and they're producing seed pods, and they're making babies. So, you know, that gives you an idea of the time frame from a small tree from a seed to a big tree. But if you get a sapling, like I'm saying, this tree has been shedding seeds on my yard, and I can literally, because it's soil, and after a rainstorm the soil is soft, you can literally get hold of one of these things and pull it out of the ground with its root, plonk it into a pot of Promix or whatever, and water it for a while. It's going to be as happy as it can be, and it'll grow really fast. So you can get a head start if you can find someone who's got mahogany tree in their yard and it's been seeding.
Okay, excellent.
But the actual seeds have a little wing on them. It's the seed and then this light papery wing.
Okay.
So you can plant them directly in the soil if you have a little pot, and you plonk it there, and the seed sticks out. The vein, the wing sticks out of the soil, so you can see where the seed was.
Okay.
And sit and wait, and water it, and wait, and water it. Then one day it's just going to be, there it is.
Pop up. Yeah, nice.
It pops up. They don't last forever. If they're collected this year, you need to plant them this year. If you save until next year, you'll get a lower germination rate.
Okay, so plant those seeds ASAP, basically.
Yes.
And we want them to. We don't want them to wait till next year. The whole point is get it done in this year. This is the tree planting initiative, and hopefully we'll have you back soon, and we'll get an updated number because I think it was around 46 trees have been planted so far since mid-January, and Northside is in the lead.
That's right.
So this is a call to all the different districts out there to gather your people, see if you can plant some of these trees. We're looking for indigenous trees to the Cayman Islands, and mahogany is one of them. At least it's indigenous to the Cayman Islands, yes.
Yeah.
And then a suggestion is to also, from Fred, was the birch tree, red birch, to try to plant that as well. Try to get your people together, just plant one tree and see how well you're doing in your district. You're creating shade, you're contributing to a healthier ecosystem for the Cayman Islands, and really we're hoping to just create a more sustainable future in that sense, where we're building towards our future by this. I know a lot of development is tearing things down, but it's also up to us to try to rebuild as we can. Thanks for joining us today. I have to go to the news right now.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll have you back in the future to hear how this initiative is going.
Thank you so much.
All right. And a reminder to everybody, that website is gov.ky/national tree planting.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. Cayman Islands Money Authority appoints Mrs. Megan Powell to Deputy Head of the Anti-Money Laundering Division on April 1st, 2022, having served as the division's chief analyst since November 2019. In international news, police in New York City have arrested a man suspected of shooting 10 commuters in a rush-hour attack at a Brooklyn subway station. Frank James was first named by police as a person of interest on Tuesday, launching a massive manhunt. On Wednesday morning, officials said Mr. James was the sole suspect in the shooting, in which 23 people were wounded, 10 of them from gunfire. The shooting renewed calls to address violence in the city's transit system. The U.S. inflation rate hit a fresh 40-year high in the year to March after fuel prices soared during the first full month of the Ukraine war. Consumer prices surged by 8.5%, the largest annual gain since December 1981, following a double-digit rise in energy prices. Last month, President Joe Biden banned all imports of oil and gas from Russia following the invasion of Ukraine. Researchers in Australia say freezing koala sperm could help protect the endangered marsupials from extinction. Scientists at the University of Newcastle in New South Wales have suggested setting up a biolab of collected sperm. This could then be used as part of a breeding program to future-proof the species and improve its genetic diversity, they say. Bushfires in recent years have killed tens of thousands of koalas. These are your latest headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Hi, I'm John Bothwell from the Department of Environment. As a Caymanian, I know how special it is to go boating at Easter with your family. It's a deep-rooted tradition, the Stony coral tissue loss disease, which is capable of killing 60 to 100% of some species of corals, has spread entirely around Grand Cayman. We must be extra careful not to transfer this disease to our sister islands. So, anyone boating between Grand Cayman and the sister islands, please disinfect your boat bilge water before leaving Grand Cayman waters. Simply pour a good splash of bleach into your bilge and leave it for 10 minutes before pumping your bilge out completely. Just make sure to do this about a half mile off the deep wall. Let's do all we can to protect our sister islands' vibrant coral reefs from this lethal coral disease. Learn more at doe.ky/SCTLD.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. In this segment of the show, we are talking about Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And Marisha Spencer of the Cayman Islands Crisis Center, she is the outreach coordinator with the Crisis Center, has organized this afternoon's session. And we've got a bunch of guests with us today. So we've got the first few guests with us in studio right now. And I'd like to welcome Detective Inspector Anderson Taylor and Mikhail Campbell, Media Relations Officer, who should be promoted to Communications Manager with the RCIPS. Also, we have Dr. Karina Palmer, Medical Doctor at HSA Women's Health Clinic, and she runs the Well Women's Clinic and is also a safeguarding liaison for the HSA. And I also introduced Miss Marisha as well at the beginning. All right, so we've got a bunch of things to talk about in such a limited time, so I almost wish we had you guys for the whole show, so somehow that has to happen. But to get right into it, it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We'll start with the basics. What is sexual assault?
Well, a sexual assault is described as an act which is one intentionally sexual touch and another person without that person's consent or coerce or physically forces a person to engage in a sexual act against their will. It is a form of sexual violence which includes child sexual abuse, groping, rape, and rape can either be vaginal, anal, or oral penetration, or a drug-facilitated sexual assault, or the torture of a person in a sexual manner. Additionally, sexual assault takes many forms, including attacks such as rape or attempt rape, as well as any unwanted sexual contact or threats. Usually, a sexual assault occurs when someone touches any part of another person's body in a sexual way, even through clothes, without that person's consent. The service has adopted a victim-focused approach. When a report of sexual nature is received, our main priority is the welfare of the victim, and one can imagine such an experience is traumatic for any victim receiving any sexual assault. So we need to ensure that that person is reassured as much as possible. At the same time, it is our job to gather as much evidence and investigate as thoroughly as possible with a view of prosecuting an offender.
Right. So that's coming from the RCIPS side. So that was Detective Inspector Anderson Taylor giving the definition there of sexual assault. Now I've got a question for you. So in an office environment, I think a lot of the time we'll know sexual assault if it's, more aggressive. But then there's the subtle behaviors of sexual assault. So let's take an office environment. And if it's an interaction between a man and a woman, and it could be the woman approaching the man from behind, and the hand on the shoulder, on the back, and like a slight rubbing, and it's kind of a constant thing. Would that be considered something that could be sexual assault, or?
If it is done in a sexual manner and it is unwanted, then it is moving in that direction.
So unwanted. So the person who's doing the touching, to understand that their behavior is unwanted, the person who is being touched should communicate.
Definitely.
That doesn't make me feel comfortable.
Definitely.
That can be hard to do if it's a superior.
Well,
indeed, right?
I know it's always a challenge when it comes to dealing with hierarchy and junior and senior persons, but once again, if it's an unwanted sexual gesture, then it must be dealt with appropriately.
Okay. Now, we've got some incidents that have happened, continuously happen in the Cayman Islands. We know of a few of them, at least, what's happening down kind of by where I live, which is South Sound area, Walker's Road area. I know there was some runners, people who exercise, and there was some assaults happening there with those women. I'd like to think that these numbers are going down a little bit and people are becoming more vigilant, but is that the case? Are we seeing more sexual assaults rising, or is it fading a little bit?
Well, our preliminary research thus far, and I know preliminary for the year, indicates that we've had 16 instances of reported sexual assault. So it's a kind of trending downward, and it is a trend that we want to maintain in terms of protecting our vulnerable people, especially females, bearing in mind that a sexual assault can also be perpetrated on a male.
Absolutely. So you say 16 so far reported to at least the RCIPS.
Yes.
And
that's in comparison to...
I have not had the opportunity to do a comparison between at least last year and this year. I know that is just a preliminary, a cursory search before coming on the air this afternoon.
No problem. I understand.
And Inspector Taylor, if you could just talk about some of the types of incidents that would include as well.
Well, that cursory search supports some incidents of rape, indecent assault on female, indecent assault on boys, indecent assault, and attempted indecent assault, and that those 4 categories amounted to 16 such sexual reports so far for the year.
Okay. All right. That's I don't know if that's the high number or not, but you did say that is a little lower than previous. So that's one thing. Now, that has to be reported to the police for you to give us those numbers, right?
Definitely.
Now, Dr. Palmer, is there instances where I'm going to guess that many people might come to you, many victims of sexual assault might come to HSA or visit their doctor, but it might not get reported to the police necessarily. So I would think that those numbers are different, those stats are different.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, internationally, it is often the case that whatever statistics you have, I don't know if it's a huge difference, but it's definitely more cases than are reported.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what's your role? What happens when somebody is coming to the hospital to report or to, I guess, be examined from sexual assault?
So I rarely see somebody who comes to self-report. It's often a case of the police contacts us to then do the examination. So I think in our experience, people often go to the police first and then they come for the exam. So once that happens, it's sort of once they consent that they're going to go through the forensic examination to collect the evidence, then we do that exam and hand it over to the police, and then they take it from there in terms of pursuing charges against the assailant. So we tend to focus on the forensic exam, but it's a general exam as well, because if depending on the situation, if it's something that there's medical issues and there's injuries sustained, you address those and then collect your evidence, but address that, and then of course you have to consider STIs, pregnancy, potential for pregnancy, so you kind of address those issues. And then if the person wants it and is amenable to it, psychiatric help, psychological counseling, and we refer for those services. It's a dream to be able to have everything under one hub, like where in the UK and different places you have sexual assault referral centers where everything kind of happens in one place and you can do different things. Here, it's not that organized yet, but hopefully we'll get to that stage where people can come to a specific center, self-referral included, to be able to deal with these things a little bit more seamlessly.
So that's something you think we're working on, or hopefully the country's working towards? I don't know if you can say.
I'm going to say yes.
We hope that they're working towards.
We hope so, because I mean, everybody knows this is a traumatic experience.
Absolutely.
It can be, and you don't want the process to try to get justice for this to be just as traumatic.
Yeah.
You know, with all the hoops that you have to jump through and different things to just be able to get things done.
Right. From the victim side, that's
yeah, and
definitely.
It can be a little bit tedious. It's not as seamless as it can be. So hopefully, I mean, we've made improvements, definitely, but more are needed.
Do you often see reoccurring instances like the same people coming over or coming to you again and again from sexual assault?
I've had one experience where I've had a young lady come twice.
Okay.
For sexual assault reported. In her situation, it was actually rape. And yeah, I mean, it happened to be somebody that she knew, and it happened twice. But that doesn't happen that often in my personal experience.
Okay. Which might lend to the idea that maybe once they do go through the police and then they get examined and in the, I guess, the proper, I don't know if it's procedures or channels are followed, that it's a less of a reoccurrence chance of happening. You wanted to say something?
I do in support to Dr. Palmer's answer. I think we've done a lot better in terms of assuring and safeguarding victims when we receive reports of a sexual nature and there is need for a medical examination. There is a room specifically for that. We can call and make arrangements so that persons are not waiting exceedingly long times.
Okay.
There's a dedicated room and the available physician examines that person, so it's a lot better. And after that, we can take over whatever medical evidence has been recovered and proceed with our investigation.
I will add to that previously it used to be where I think the person would present and the police may bring them to A&E, then you sort of call the on-call gynae person. And since, I think it was 2020, training has been done in the UK to do forensic medical examination training. And so the ideal is going to be that the people who have undergone this training are then the specific people that are called. So it's not necessarily going through the OBGYN department, and those people are called, and like Detective Taylor said, there is a room now dedicated for forensic examination, and so I mean we're moving in the right direction, but hopefully, you know, by the end of this year we have it so that the people who have been trained are the ones being called for these exams. But it has to do a few little glitches because of COVID. I think some of the people who went to do the training didn't quite complete it, and so that's part of the problem right now. But
what's the procedure after? So the victim has made a report to the police. Oftentimes the police, from what I understand, will then guide them to the hospital for an examination. In that sense, once you've examined them and you know there's an outcome, you see what has happened, you can determine what has happened from the examination plus what the person is describing to you. What happens next for the victim? What can we expect that the procedure would be next for them to take, the next steps for them? I don't know if you guys can answer that, but perhaps Marisha, you might have an idea the next steps for the victim.
So I'm not sure. Maybe RCIPS would want to take that one, so that it's bordering on the legal side. But before you get to it, Inspector Anderson, through the Alliance, we came up with 6 steps in which victims can take, just to make the process a little bit easier, because we know how traumatic it can be. So I think it was 2 years ago, we had an advocate from the US. Her name is Claire. I can't remember the last name. So she was a victim elsewhere of sexual violence. So what she said, whenever she goes to a new country, she would normally check to see what measures are in place. And unfortunately, when she came here, there was no clear direction as to where to go for assistance. So through the Alliance and herself, we came up with 6 steps. And I'm just going to go through briefly, then I'll go to Inspector Anderson. So the first thing is...
What I think we can... Cause I'd like to bring that in, but
yes.
I got to go to commercial break.
No
so
problem.
I think that I can wrap this segment up with him just giving, if you can, provide an answer as to what maybe that next step would be for them. I don't know if they would still be dealing with police.
Forensic medical examination is completed. We generally recover what evidence there is from the medical physician. We interview that victim by a process called ABE, Achieving Best Evidence. It is done in a manner so that if the matter does engage the attention of the court, instead of having the victim relive that experience, once the appropriate application is made by the DPP office, that this can be used as the victim's evidence.
Okay.
So we're moving in the right direction, as Dr. Palmer mentioned earlier. And then subsequent to that, we lend that victim as much support as we can. If it is an instance where it may be facilitating them in terms of going to the crisis center, we assist in that process as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. So we're going to go to our commercial break right now, and then when we return, I know that Marisha's going to give us those, I think, 6 steps?
Yes.
Yes, the 6 steps, and then we're going to be joined by a few more representatives, Family Resource Center, Department of Counseling and Rehabilitation, and I think that's it, right? All right, so quick commercial break, and we'll be back.
This is how we wake you up in the morning.
Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Walk them golden stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
There's nothing to go back to. Give me Jesus in the morning. For the God of the mountain is still God in the valley.
Shout with joy to God, all the earth sing glory to His name. Praise time. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Country classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Well, I love the name.
Country classics.
Young love, first love. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country classics.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Listen to to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Hello. Welcome back to Talk Today. This is Kathy Miller. I'm filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And on this segment of Talk Today, we are discussing Sexual Assault Awareness Month. There's a whole lot of information that we really have to get out for this, but this half hour is not going to do it. We know that, right, Marisha? So hopefully we're going to have the Crisis Center back on, and hopefully with some of the other agencies that we're working with, that we can really kind of hammer in some of these points and important things that people need to know about, especially if you've been a victim of sexual assault, you know somebody who is, or maybe you're a perpetrator and you need to learn how to do things a little differently or a whole lot differently. So right now in this part of the show, I'm welcoming, we still have Marisha with us from the Crisis Center. We do have Dr. Palmer from HSA with us as well. And joining us new from Department of Community Rehabilitation, we have Marvelly Collins, and we have Bronwyn as well, but Bronwyn's not going to say anything. She's in the back hanging out. And then we also have another lady. I don't think I got your name, actually.
Charmaine Miller.
All right,
Family Resource Center.
Family Resource Center. I should know this already. I was like, I know the space. All right. And then we also have Amber Combe from the Family Resource Center as well. Yeah. So welcome, and thanks for joining us on this.
Thank you for having us.
This segment. Now we're going to go into, I guess, the Family Resource Center, your role.
Sure.
So what happens with when you have to respond to victims of sexual assault, and how to
Absolutely.
deal with families?
So as an entity, we are obviously a government agency, and we fall under the Department of Counseling Services. So that really opens up the floor for being creative on how we service our clients, right? In terms of clients who have experienced or are reporting sexual assault, we certainly encourage to have a conversation with them around making an official and formal report to RCIPS and being a part of that process with them and serving them in a role of advocacy, right? So making sure that we're advocating with them throughout the process, and it's collaborative in nature, as opposed to just telling them, I need you to go down to the police station or go to MASH and make your report. For us, it's really important to make sure that we're not re-traumatizing the clients that are accessing services with us, and we're providing as much support in an empathic and warmth manner, right? So oftentimes, if we have clients that are reporting that, they will go through a process of intake where we gather the demographic information, everything that's required, the presenting issue at hand, contact Crisis Center, contact RCIPS, and make sure that, we begin that process with them, and we're following up with the clients as much as possible. In addition to the advocacy and case management aspect of things, there's also counseling intervention that's really important. At this point in time, we actually share our office space with the Counseling Center, which is our sister agency. And so that really allows for just a streamlined process even more so. In addition to them getting support from us from a case management perspective, then there's an automatic referral for counseling services, right? So it's a one-stop shop as opposed to having the client knock on various doors, right, and requesting intervention. Just in a nutshell, it's really about advocating for the client and making sure that they don't internalize the experience and blame themselves for it or re-victimizing themselves. Instead, actually have an opportunity to go through this with them and be as collaborative and empathic as possible.
And giving as much support as possible.
Absolutely.
Which I think Dr. Karina, I'm going to go with Dr. Palmer. Dr. Karina Palmer. I think that's what you were saying is trying to eliminate so many different steps for a victim to go through.
Yeah,
so the Family Resource Center is able to help eliminate those steps. Now, one of the first things you said is you do try to encourage people to go make a report.
Absolutely.
Do you get a lot of resistance,
I think reporting overall can be quite an intimidating process, right? Clinically, though, if you're working with someone, with the survivor at hand, and you're informing them the steps that you're taking, it brings down a little bit of that resistance and fear, as opposed to telling them what you're doing. I'm going to make a report. This is what I'm doing, and this is why I'm doing it. but actually allowing them to see the big picture and the purpose behind it, that tends to kind of like reduce a little bit of or minimize the resistance. There's always going to be fear. We're living in Cayman. It's a very, very small country, right? And so we don't know whether information has been shared. We don't know whether the perpetrator is going to retaliate in some way, shape, or form. So it's really about explaining the process in a digestible way to the survivor so that they're not feeling intimidated and they're feeling supported.
Right, okay.
Can I just add one comment? And I would have to get clarity from RCIPS, but one of the things people need to sort of maybe understand is that if you don't necessarily want to pursue the court process, the important thing from the forensic point of view is time. The evidence disappears after, it's usually 72 hours, depending on what specifically you're looking at. And so if you could even do that process, collect the evidence, and have it stored, and then later on you decide you want to go ahead and pursue justice. I know that that's how it is in most places, that there's a time that you can store the evidence. I think we do it for a certain amount of time, but like I said, I'd have to ask them specifically. But that is something that people also need to know. Like, you don't have to make a decision today to pursue the legal aspects of it, but at least collect the evidence so that you have a choice later on.
Yeah. And that definitely, it helps to have an advocate on your side to be able to inform that process and assist with taking the photo. You know, I recall when I recently started working in the field, it was FSU, the Family Support Unit, right? And just having them, building that relationship with them professionally, whereby they could actually come to our office, take photos for, the victim, this was a domestic violence survivor, unfortunately, but they were able to do it in a very empathic and non-judgmental way and educate them first and foremost on what the process was going to be and be there along the way, as opposed to just come, it can be very intimidating and threatening if you're not well informed. So I agree 100%. Having an advocate on your side is really important.
It's hard because, for example, a rape scenario. So if a woman or a man was raped, and usually the first thing is just to wash that feeling off of you, get that off of you. And it's very natural for people to want to just take a shower, clean themselves as much as possible, and maybe not talk about it right away. Some people don't talk about it at all.
Right.
And so when that strength, when that courage comes, that you're going to decide to go report this, it has to be very hard, I would think, for the medical examiners if you've already showered or cleaned yourself. So how are you able to get evidence in those cases?
I mean, it is difficult to get evidence, unfortunately, but I will say I distinctly remember a case that I had where the person was forced to shower. The perpetrator forced them to shower before they left, but we got him. There was still some residual stuff that we swabbed, and they got evidence. And so it doesn't, obviously try not to do that, which can be difficult for people not to want to do that, but it's not a lost cause all the time.
Entirely. Yeah. Okay. All right. Amber, did you want... I know you're with the Family Resource Center too, so I don't know if you want to add to...
I think one of the important things is to ensure that that women, men, they understand what sexual assault is, right? So they know if it happens, how to go about it. And I think that's important whenever we're working with our clients. We're ensuring that they have an understanding, or they're taking preventative measures. I know sometimes it's out of your control, but you have an understanding. What are the resources? What should I do, right?
There's the stigma for men that you're supposed to be the strong man. That's not supposed, shouldn't be happening to you, right? And God forbid that sexual assault would happen, or I allow this to happen. I'm a man. How could this happen, right? That's a very unfortunate stigma, but it's very real. And we did hear the detective inspector mention a case of sexual assault on a male that has been reported this year so far. For the men that come in to the Family Resource Center, do you find it's a bit of a different procedure in supporting them?
I think the reporting aspect of it is what is an issue, and actually labeling the behavior as assault as opposed to maybe just an unhealthy relationship, or especially if it's happening between, intimate partners, for instance, or someone that you have a relationship with and you didn't realize that it ended up escalating to this point, and it's led to that, unfortunately. But whenever we have a campaign, which is International Men's Day, and that takes place in November, and we focus heavily on making sure that we are destigmatizing a lot of the issues that are impacting men today, psychologically and emotionally. In preparing for this interview, actually, I came across some U.S. stats that spoke to 1 in 3, I think it's 1 in 4 women between the ages of 11, or females between the ages of 11 and 17, have experienced the attempt or completed experience of sexual assault. And for boys, it's 1 in 5, right? So it's not that far off either, right? And so it's recognizing and start educating from very early. As a center, we do a lot of prevention and education work, right? And the topic of consent is something that is crucial to talk about. And how do we do that in an age-appropriate way? How do we talk about boundaries? And when your boundaries are violated, what does that sound like, right? So that we're coming from a place of empowerment, as opposed to saying, well, this is not what, this is what you shouldn't make happen. This shouldn't happen to you. But what should you do when it does, right? And so we go through a lot of that. And I think, we've gone through great strides as a country to address a lot of social issues, but there's a lot more work to be done. And a lot of it starts at home, right? We strongly believe that parents are the agents of change, right? So whether we're talking about sexual assault, about bullying, about domestic violence, whatever the case may be, we have a social responsibility to also educate, our children on these issues too, in an age-appropriate way.
Yes. Now, before we went to this break, Marisha, I know that you wanted to give, I think it was 6 steps.
Yeah, so I wanted to go through the 6 steps that we came up with through the Alliance in terms of responding from an individual perspective, which some of it would have been mentioned across agencies already. So the first thing, as Charmaine says, just for victims to understand that this is not their fault. There was nothing that they did that could have caused someone, to be so vile towards them. Right. And then also, importantly, making sure that you're in a safe environment, because oftentimes where sexual assault occurs once, if the person remains in that environment, then there is a strong possibility of the behavior reoccurring. So it is important to get to a safe environment. And the Crisis Center, we provide support, sheltering for women and children who have experienced sexual violence. So it's not only under the umbrella of domestic abuse, because a lot of times when we say domestic abuse, we really don't speak much about sexual violence as a standalone. So we do provide that service. And I think Dr. Karina mentioned also, do not try to change your parents for purposes of collecting evidence, because having shower, it will be more difficult for them to gather the evidence that they need, and importantly, to get medical attention and to make a report. Because I think, Dr. Kearney, you could correct me if I'm wrong, a victim would not be able to do a rape kit unless it was reported to the police. That's correct?
That's correct. I don't know if we're moving towards changing that, but like I said, in other places, you can self-report or self-refer.
Right.
And go to a center, and they collect the evidence, no police needed, and they either store it, or if you want to pursue legal action, then they talk to the police. But not here. It sort of has to go through that.
That has to change, because nobody's saying that policemen, I'm not saying policemen abuse people, but I'm also not saying that absolutely none of them do either. So you could be in a relationship with somebody that is a part of the RCIPS, and you are very scared to go and report, because that person that you're reporting to might go tell that person you're in a relationship with, because that's their colleague, that's their buddy, that whatever that relationship is there. So that is a little scary, very intimidating, and it would make me shut down for sure. So having the ability to, as you said, self-report, I think is very important, and something that Cayman should consider. I haven't spoken to you yet, right, Marvalee? So
that's right.
From the Department of Community Rehabilitation, where do you come in this whole process?
All right, so we're a little bit down the line as it relates to providing services. We're usually after the matter has gone to court. So we would be the persons to assist with the preparation of the victim impact reports. So the court would ask for a victim impact report, and we would assist them in preparing one, or give them guidance as to how to prepare one themselves if they choose to. We also offer accompaniment if they need to go to court and want some support. So we would accompany them to court. And we also refer them because sometimes they might have access counseling earlier on, but having to go to court, go through the court process, talking to somebody else about this again, it has brought up back memories. Right. And of course, so they might need to access counseling. So of course, we'd make the necessary referrals to whatever agency they need to go to get support.
And is that's strictly for the victim?
Yes, for the victims. Mm-hmm. We also do reports for the perpetrators. Those are referred to as social inquiry reports. Okay. And so, yes, if the court asks for a report to assist in sentencing, one would be done for the perpetrator as well.
Okay, so, but also for the perpetrator, if they need to be rehabilitated mm-hmm. in that sense, is that something that would fall, I guess, under your remit, or is that, are they going to be kind of directed elsewhere?
Directed elsewhere. It's tricky because usually, we do supervise persons placed on orders by the court. So if a person who has been convicted of a sexual offense is placed on an order, then we would be the agency to supervise them. Depending on the offense and the gravity, they might get a term of imprisonment, and so rehabilitation would take place in the prison.
Right. Okay.
We have limited resources in terms of rehabilitation for sexual offenders. So, as I said, depending on the gravity of the offense, it would usually be the prison because they would be given a term of imprisonment.
You said a very important sentence, which was, we have very limited resources to rehabilitate
sexual offenders
in the
community.
And then we just put them back in the community with no notice to people in the community that boom, they're released or they're back out there, which if I'm in the community knowing that a rapist has moved into me next door, I'm going to be freaking out. I'm going to personally be freaking out. So I think there's and this is not your responsibility. I think it is responsibility of our lawmakers to ensure that our residents also feel safe once these people have to re-enter the community.
Yes. Well, there is a notification process. It might not be for the community at large because there's no registry or anything like that here. But there is a notification process when the perpetrator is coming to the end of their sentence, or if they've applied for what is called conditional release, loosely referred to as parole, then the victims would be notified, and they can participate in the process, in the conditional release process, where they can submit a victim impact statement to say what their feelings are, how they're still being impacted by the offense, what objections they might have, and whatever the decision is of the board would be relayed to the victim.
And you would be able to, the Department of Community Rehabilitation would come in that process to help support the victim when they need to make those statements again.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Final points is what I'm being told over here. I think we had a final point to come in from the RCIPS.
Yeah.
So I might have to switch somebody in and out real quick if we could get the final points to wrap up. But again, there's so much information to share here. So I just need one person to swap out, and we can get, I believe it was Detective Inspector Anderson Taylor. I don't know if Mikhail's going to come back in as well. But I know that there was a final point that we want to wrap up with the Detective Inspector as well. So much to talk about when it comes to Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So we're here today, but is there any other initiatives that are happening in the community this month to get people on the same page, to raise the awareness?
So we are, we formed, Marisha spoke about the Alliance, right? We have the Alliance, and we've got various action plans, and it's really a combination, a workforce that consists of both the private sector and the public sector, heavily government. There's a lot of government presence that includes FRC, DCR, and RCIPS too. And so as part of one of our strategic goals as part of the Alliance is to make sure that we're enhancing our level of education, right, within our community. Knowledge is power at the end of the day, right? And so what we're going to be doing is increasing our appearances on different platforms. We've got a webinar scheduled to take place at the end of this month, and it will touch on aspects of sexual assault awareness. A little bit, we've dabbled on that today, but we're going to go in more depth by the end of the month. And so I'm encouraging listeners to certainly, look out for that. It'll be published on several of our social media platforms, and it's going to be an opportunity to get in more depth and talk about what it is, what it isn't, and how you can move forward with making reports or even supporting your friend, colleague, family member, whoever it is that has experienced such a traumatic experience. How do you move forward with saying the right things, right? Saying thank you so much for sharing this with me. This is not your fault, as opposed to, well, you did something to deserve that, right? So getting into kind of like moving away from a lot of that victim blaming culture, right? And changing the way in which we speak and the way in our language. Absolutely.
Yeah, be very careful of who you're sharing this information with your friends, because if you're looking to your friends for support, and as you just said, that victim blaming thing, I can say from an experience of my own, I'd shared something and what did you do?
Right.
And it's like, if I wanted that kind of, I'm going to trust you to speak about this. So sometimes it might not be a family member or a friend. You have to try to figure out where you're going to get that support from that's not going to blame you. That's a really important thing. And any final, I know we had some final notes coming from the RCIPS here, so we got to wrap it up with Mikhail and.
So I'm just going to jump in for a bit before I give it back to Inspector Taylor. Just to say that, and this kind of goes to your point as well, but for us in the police service, we try to educate the public a lot, and so a lot of it will be crime prevention advice, and that goes for all aspects of crime, from burglary, robberies to personal safety, which sexual assault would fall under. So we will issue tips to the public in terms of things you can do to help yourself stay safe. And that's not meant to be a victim-blaming thing. It's more just empowering persons to kind of look out for themselves as much as possible. But at the end of the day, that in and of itself is not enough. So that's part of our function, but that's not all that we look at or consider. It's a whole... a bigger thing than just what we can do, and that's why we like to have the agencies come together and work together to empower people, but also kind of address root causes as well. So, Inspector, you can talk a bit more about that.
Well, from the reports we have seen over the years, the majority of sexual assaults are committed by persons who are either close or known to the victim. So this means that most important preventative measure is to ensure that persons are aware of the importance of consent. Reinforcing that no is no, and bearing in mind that a lack of no is not necessarily a yes either. It is a societal issue that requires education and definitely a cultural shift as to all persons are aware of what consent really means. For our part, as previously mentioned, our responsibility is to gather evidence, investigate and prosecute offenders to the fullest extent of the law, to prevent them from committing further assaults and thus protecting future victims. And in doing so, we also show that other would-be perpetrators, that they will face consequences if they violate and commit such acts.
I hope so, and I hope the police gets them before other people do. So on that note, we have to wrap it up. And Marisha, I hope we can organize for you to come back on with the Crisis Center and some other agencies, and we can go deeper into this topic, because we didn't get to go deep. We had a lot of people to come through, but I'd want us to definitely discuss this more, because we can't sweep it under the rug. These are issues that need to be discussed and addressed, and a lot more awareness brought. So thank you so much for coming in this afternoon. I appreciate it.
And thank you so much for having us.
No problem. All right. And that's it for Talk Today this afternoon. I think you're on tomorrow with Raymond Singh. He'll be hosting tomorrow, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
This
Brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.